Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the League of Europe. We are here for round number 6 around the French Grand Prix, the circuit Paul Ricard. Of course, it is myself, Jaycard, taking you guys through this as always. And for tonight, you might have just heard it on the Division 1 stream. I am not actually with Daka for tonight. We are instead with the lead Division 1 commentator, Mr. James Head. How are you doing this evening, my friend?
I'm doing very well, Jake. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. You've got one title on that, and that was that commentator of the season last season as well. But I'll just throw it in there. We are waiting on Maledictus and Zodemer to ready up in the lobby. Hopefully we're going to get that. Yeah, the 30-second countdown just came on. But I am doing very well. Of course, refresh with a nice fresh drink after the Division 1. Hopefully going to be like similar in terms of the driving, in terms of the absolute drama that we had in Division 1 here in Division 2 tonight.
Hopefully we do have a very good race for tonight. I will say you are just lagging a little bit on my end, so hopefully you can try and get that one sorted out a little bit. But yeah, I mean, in regards to, of course, Division 2, we've got a full grid once again. Of course, I will switch over to qualifying just very, very shortly. Just before I do, though, I will just quickly run you guys through the standings. So, of course, Knuth is the one that is leading this championship at the moment with 67 points to his name after taking 5th place last week at Singapore. I think he kind of botched a podium on his side, but I think he's looking for a bit of a bounce back tonight for France. Kuhn does end up moving up into 2nd position after taking his first win last week at Singapore. In 3rd is, of course, the Irishman of Gary on 42 points. Maledictus only 1 point shy of the Irishman in 4th. He is on 41 points to his name. Zodemer moves himself up into 5th with 38 points. As I said, picking up another 3rd place last week. In 6th is Killer Blue with 37 points. Packer in 7th with 34. Old School in 8th with 33 points. Despite not scoring any points in these last 3 races, hopefully he's going to try and look for a bit of redemption for today. Car Mentalist is in 9th and isn't actually racing for this evening, so it gives our 10th place man of Rudy the opportunity to try and get a few more points on him. They are both tied on the 30 points. And then, of course, we've got Assassin, Matt Tibos, Larkin, Marcel, Nico, TDB, Ewan Baker, Cortez, Peter, Nolan, Hardy, Slash, Ishida, Vascream, Realmark, and Caesar. Both of those guys at the bottom yet to do a race on their side. So, yeah, in fact, I have just gotten a very interesting bit of information here, James, that is going to be rain in about 10 minutes' time for qualifying.
Interesting. That can probably throw quite a lot in terms of the setup. So it looks like everyone's on that sort of soft compound tyre to the left-hand side of the graphic. Ishida's the first man out on track, and the Portuguese man will be open for good result. Of course, no points for his name, just weaving the tyres coming through turn 11 and then through turn 12. But honestly, if there's rain in 10 minutes, you might see these guys. We might see an early end to qualifying, and you might see these guys being within a second of each other.
And look at that, just looking at the track map, everyone is out on track, everyone is in Sector 3, so we're going to be seeing a very quick qualifying, but of course we are running on board with the Portuguese of Ishida to do the first lap around the second. Paul Ricard for Division 2, making his way up towards turn number 1, breaking out just after the 100 metre board, keeping it in 5th gear, does the Portuguese in the Haas, doing a very nice job for around turn 1 and turn number 2, doesn't want to take too much curb on that, because it can chuck you around, braking just at the 50 metre board, coming through turn number 3 and 4, and then just keeping it sort of as low geared as you want, but at the same time it's very easy to lose that back end around turn 5 and turn 6. Come through turn 7 now, and of course onto the Mistro straight now, very long straight, DRS now wide open, of course, for the Portuguese driver, reaching probably to about 205 miles per hour, and already I have just seen the rain started to drop, so we're going to start to see people try and get their times in as soon as they possibly can. If they invalidate their lap, then that's pretty much their qualifying over and done with, and I can already start to see, I think Ishida is already struggling on these tyres, just even though the rain has only just come in, so we might see a lot of slower times, and I feel like Ishida might actually pop it on pole position just because the rain's going to start to settle pretty quickly.
Yeah, it will settle pretty quickly. I mean, we saw in Division 1 how the weather conditions can actually change within about 60 seconds. We had, of course, the dry compound tyres running, then it came over pitch black, and then about 5 laps later, absolutely teeming down of rain. Completely different scenario, of course, here in qualifying, but Ishida's now coming through the final couple of corners, through Lack and then through Pons at turn 15, and this is not looking like a bad lap at all from Ishida. Obviously off the pace compared to the Division 1 guys I commentated on just a little while ago, but Ishida to the line, 1:30.1. That's the sort of lap time we've seen on a set of mediums, so already the track might be looking a little bit greasy. see as Packer puts it on pole 29.3.
Yeah, good lap from the American. Peter just goes up ahead of Ishida as well into P2. Next one across the line is Kumblai, and he's only just shy of about 2 tenths behind his teammate. We're going to see a lot of these times be relatively slower than, of course, a few of the lower divisions as well, just because, as you said, the greasy track is out there. Gary, the Irishman, into 5th position. TDB up into 3rd as well, and a lot of times are now coming in. A few guys, though, have come into the pits, so I'm assuming that they would have invalidated on their lap times, and a lot more times are now coming in. Rudy has gone into 9th position, Larkin up into 8th, Marcel into 11th as Cortez on his return back up into 8th position as well. Zardama in 11th with a 30.392, and then Maledictus all the way down in 16th with a 31.0. The Portuguese driver not going to be very happy with that, and as I said, I think that's going to be the only time that they are going to be able to do, unless it dries up at the end of qualifying, which I haven't been told, and if it doesn't, well then I'm pretty sure that this qualifying session is already over and done with.
Yeah, and to be honest, it was the early guys who set that lap time. Packer, Kumblai, TDP, those were the early guys up in that train, and those are the early guys that got that lap in, because look at the way the track, I'm just running aboard with Scream, coming through the middle sector, he's at a 51.4 through the middle sector in the Ferrari, but look at how wet that track is getting. It's almost getting greasy. It's very similar to what we had in Division 1 in the race, and where the conditions really change. The Scream is round, coming through turn 11, just that little bit of a curve. Ishida now retires into the pit lane. I wonder if we're going to see plenty retirements in this pit lane, but it's Packer out on top, Kumblai in 2nd, TDB in 3rd. The track getting a lot wetter though.
Yeah, and I've actually just been told by TDB it is not actually going to dry up at the end of qualifying, so I really think those bottom 3 guys need to get a lap in now, otherwise, well, they're qualifying, well, they are going to be qualifying at the back end of the grid. That Scream also going to be qualifying at the back end of the grid. A lot of guys just coming into the pits now. Yeah, I feel like that is what we're going to see at the end of qualifying.
I don't know, to be honest. 17th, 18th, and Slash and Scream, obviously 4 drivers that haven't set a lap time. Scream retires in the pit lane. Honestly, I will be very coy and say this. I think it's going to be DRS disabled when they start their laps. Because look at the track, running down the Mistral straight, look at how wet the track is. I mean, Killer Blue and Nolan are having a good battle. Hopefully Nolan's driving Senator better than they were in LOEF2 on Monday, but Killer Blue's on the back of Nolan, and they're running up side by side, and there, DRS disabled, literally within 30 seconds of me saying it, DRS disabled. It's absolutely pointless for them now to qualify.
Oh, and Killer's gone round.
And they've just caused a collision between themselves, and that's why you don't race in qualifying.
Yeah, I'm surprised it hasn't already said that they're getting a 5 grid place penalty for the collisions of each other, but I mean, it's not exactly going to matter. Killer Blue has gone round as well. Nolan, I think he's still going to try and put a lap on, but in all honesty, I think that's all we're going to do for qualifying. Packer, of course, doing a 29.3 on pole position, and Kumblai in 2nd, TDB in 3rd. Peter, once again, up in 4th place in qualifying. He seems to do so well in qualifying. Just unfortunately for him, it never happens in the race for him. I don't know what it is. Just seems to be more of, I suppose he doesn't mind me saying it, but more a bit of a one-lap merchant. The Irishman of Gary, I think, starting at his highest grid place so far this season in 5th. I think other than Bahrain, he might have started at the same position. Assassin is in 6th, Ishida in 7th, Cortez in 8th, Larkin in 9th, Rudy rounding out that top 10. Zaldama is going to be in 11th. And interesting thing to note as well, they still done their qualifying on the dry tyres. So he's going to be on the poor man's pole position and get his fresh set of tyres that whatever ones he wants to start on. And well, the amount of strategies that are around here, it won't surprise me if we might see Zardama up within those top guys towards the end of this race, James.
Yeah, to be honest, I think it could be a very similar scenario. If we get safety cars like what we did in Division 1, this race could be wide open, to be honest. Zerdema obviously starting down in 11th position. We've got Marcel down in 12th, Old School in 13th. Championship leader Nuff, by the way, is down in 14th. So he really didn't get a good lap in. The German, of course, for TTG, which is just ahead of TTG Tibos, now formerly known, of course, as Matt Tibos. Maledictus out with a 31 flat, but nobody's setting time. Slash, by the way, is the only man still out on track. He set up this and next lap and validated. And speaking of which, he nearly lost it coming through turn 13. But he's now coming back into Spain and inevitably going to be retiring from this session. But Packer, QVR 1-2. We saw QVR dominate in Division 1. 3 out of the top 4 positions were taken out. Killer Blue, however, looks like he's going out in a set of intermediates. And to be honest, for those guys that haven't set a pit stop so far, haven't set a lap time, I should say, so far, it's not too bad, actually, just to get a lap under your belt, especially if it's going to be like this in the race.
Yeah, obviously they're going to be trying to battle it out for that qualifying position. I'm really surprised that Scream did end up retiring from the session and not trying to out qualify Nolan or Killer Blue or Slash or anyone in the bottom four, they have still got that position to try and fight for, because it's just another car that's just going to be in front of you, and it just puts you even further away from the points. So I'm not surprised I'm seeing the McLaren and the Mercedes coming out to try and get a lap on the board to try and best those other guys that are behind them. And of course, Slash is also chucking on a set of intermediates. I'm quite surprised Larkin is, I'm not going to lie, but I mean, it may end up raining in the race. I haven't been told anything about it, so I'm assuming that it is going to be dry. But, well, I have no idea how this is going to play out, to be honest with you, James. The guys in the bottom four, of course, are going to be trying to just battle it out for that 17th position. I never thought I'd be saying that. But yeah, they'll be battling out for the 17th position on these intermediate tyres. Nolan, Killer, and Slash. I don't know. I feel like they could probably just retire from the session now, but I'm sure Killer or Slash, they don't particularly want to be starting behind Nolan. Because trust me, I wouldn't either.
There's got to be a real bit of... There's got to be something about this, why they're going on that set of intermediate compounded tyres. They're not out there on track just for the sake of it. Yeah, they haven't set a lap time in, which is probably the more of a reason why they would actually set a lap in. But they're on a set of inters. Obviously, DRS is disabled out there, and they're on that set of inters. But look at the conditions. It's really similar to the end of the race in Division 1. The track is literally greasy, it's wet, it's really damp, and Nolan's just starting to set up on a lap in the McLaren, running down and towards Turn 1 and Turn 2 of Vera Ray. But Nolan coming through Turn 1, now through Turn 2. And again, it's obviously not going to be pole position, 29.3. You're going to be looking at lap times probably around the 1:38-39 mark. But still, there's a little bit of pride, I think, in this for Nolan and Killer Bloom for Slash, just to get one over on each other.
Yeah, as I said, I don't want to try and get that 17th position. As I said, I don't. If I was one of these guys, I wouldn't want to be starting like at the very back of the race. So it's understandable why Nolan, Killer, and Slash are all going out again for another lap. As I said, I'm quite surprised Larkin is, to be honest with you. I think maybe just to get a wet lap under his belt. But yeah, I don't see the point. I don't see any reason why he's gone out. But yeah, Nolan and Killer Blue coming up towards the end of Sector 2 now is Nolan in the McLaren. What's his sector time going to be? Is 55.3. It's about 6 seconds slower than what it should be. So I think you might be right. Around a 138, 139 might even be the pole position, as Killer has actually binned it and retired from the session. So it's all on the Slash to try and get up ahead of Nolan. Otherwise, it will literally stay this way in the qualifying. It's really a battle of Nolan versus Slash to try and come out on top in this intermediate qualifying session. It's sort of like a 1v1 kind of thing, which is a bit interesting. But yeah, Nolan just coming up towards the end of Sector 3 now, coming up towards the final corner, keeping it, I think, into second gear, wanting to upshift very early to try and get that traction out of there, and he does so up into fourth, up into fifth, up towards the line comes Nolan. It's looking like actually it's going to be a 1 minute 39.921. Now it all remains on TTG Slash to see if he can try and beat that lap, James.
Honestly, never thought I'd say this. I'm commentating on Division 2 and I'm commentating on Battle for 17 between two drivers on a set of intermediates. If you told me how my night was going to go, I didn't expect this whatsoever. But Pack is out on top, Kuhnblai second, TDB in third. Of course, everyone still out there. There's four drivers, Gary, Larkin, Nolan and Slash. Slash through the middle sector as well, coming through turn 10 and then in towards turn 11. And he's really got to get the power down, of course. The downforce, even in these wet conditions, remember the Inters can serve up to 25 to 30 litres of water per second around a track like this. So you can see pretty much a dry line forming coming through 12 and then in towards turn 13 and then of course in towards Bont and Lack at 14 and 15. I think I've got those two corners the other way around, but Slash coming through 14 and then in towards turn 15. Gary is retired from the session. Good to see my Colcom's partner in Division 1 actually doing well for once in 5th position. Nolan in 17th at the minute, but what's Slash's time going to be? It's going to be quicker than Nolan. Comes to the line, 39 flat, he goes quicker than Nolan and gets the bragging right. TTG over Relentless, I like to see that every day of the week.
I'm sure he'd be very, very happy with that. We're just waiting for these two guys just to maybe retire from the session, and we'll see obviously what's going to happen with that as well. But yeah, Nolan and Slash 17th and 18th position, and obviously going to be starting at the back. That's going to be Killer, and that Scream after Killer ended up getting ended up crashing on his lap on the intermediate tyres. So hopefully we'll see these two guys retire from the session, and if we do, we can get this race straight on the way. As I said, Packer and Kumbly once again, I think this is the second week in a row, it's going to be a Williams 1-2 on the grid. TDB in third, right behind them with Peter in fourth, a old Dutch second row. Gary in fifth with Assassin in sixth. Ashida in seventh and Cortez in eighth, a fourth row of Portuguese as well. P9 is Larkin and P10 is Rudy. As I said, Zardeman's going to get a fresh choice of tyre and he'll be the leading one to do so in P11. I'm sure it's not particularly where he wanted to qualify because I've seen what times that he can do. I would say he is very, very competitive within this division. Maybe even like with the Division 1 guys, he was doing quite significantly good times in that. But I'm sure we'll see him maybe try and move up for the race. So maybe starting in 11th might not be such a bad thing for him. Marcel is alongside him in 12th. His teammate is behind him of Old School in 13th. Knuth in 14th, as you said, our championship leader. Tibos is in 15th with Maledictus in 16th. Slash in 17th. Nolan 18th, who's going out again for another intermediate lap. I don't know why. He just may as well retire from the session so we can get this race done. In 19th is Killer and That's Scream, rounding out the final grid position in 20th. Of course, not getting a lap on the board, invalidating on his lap, on his dry lap, shall I say. And I think that's more or less all she wrote for qualifying. But Nolan is literally the sole car that is still going, and I don't know why he is, to be honest with you.
Honestly, all I'm going to say is this. I'm literally speechless. But everyone, is now your chance to get a cup of tea and a warm, nice blanket and watch the racing tonight in Division 2. Because this is probably the only chance that you will get in 27 laps worth of racing that we've got. Nolan is literally wasting 3 minutes of your life, and this is 3 minutes of your life that you will never get back.
Well, I mean, it's going to be beneficial for him if he does out-qualify Slash to get to 17th. It's another grid position, but, I mean, he's already in 18th. He's got two people behind him anyway, so he can at least, if need be, can try and hold those guys back. But, as I said, I get why he's going out again, but at the same time, I don't really, because he's still got a lap on. He's still ahead of people, so I don't know. I don't know. As I said, if anybody that is watching the stream, honestly, I would just, I just suggest maybe going to go get something to drink, something to eat, you know, get yourselves comfortable, because in about 3 or 4 minutes time, we'll be getting this race underway.
Yeah, Nolan is out on that. Jav, by the way, has came into the comments section. You should be racing in Division 5, Jav, by the way, if you're not. James really dislikes us. We don't. This is what you get for paying your driver what's it. Nolan, anyways, is starting up on a lap.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll ride on board with him anyway, see if he can maybe try and beat Slash's time. Obviously, we'll have his Delta anyway, so let's keep an eye out on that one as well. So, Nolan coming through turn number 1. I thought he was going to end up invalidating on turn 1, and then that would have been the biggest waste of time ever. But, no, he does keep it nice and clean through there, coming through turn 2 as well. And now through turn 3 and 4. I thought that was going to be an invalidation, but once again, keeping it nice and tight is the McLaren driver. Through turns 5 and turn 6 now, keeping it in around second and third gear. He is only 600ths up on his time, so I don't know if he's going to end up trying to get to beat Slash's time. He's got 9/10 he needs to try and find, so it's going to be a bit of a tall order for Nolan to try and get within Slash's time. Braking now in towards the small little chicane in the middle, which is actually getting removed for next year's French Grand Prix, so it'll be a lot more of a, not a tighter line, but it's a lot more drivable, I suppose. A lot more overtaking opportunities can happen going into that. But he is a 10th.5 up on his time. For some reason, it said it was purple sector 2. I don't know how much I'm going to believe of that, but yeah, coming through sector 3 now. Again, a 10th.5 up on his time. I don't think he is going to end up beating Slash's time. So again, it was another waste of time for that one. But I mean, I suppose it's always worth a try going for it. Coming through sector 3 now, up towards the final corner is Nolan. As I said, I don't think he's going to beat Slash's time. He will improve on his time, however, but I don't think it is going to be in contention with Slash's time. So let's have a look as he comes across the line. Nolan, it was only 4 tenths up on his time, wasn't anywhere near Slash's time.
It wasn't, but he improved. He improved. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He actually improved on his lap. But we'll run you through the full grid order. Packer, of course, out on top, and it really was the case where getting the early laps in really worked. And so Williams 1-2. It's Packer out on top. It's Kuhnblei in second, TDB in third, and Peter there in fourth. Gary in fifth position. Good to see up there. Good to see him up there with Assassin in sixth, Ashida in seventh, and Cortez in eighth, Larkin in ninth, and Rudy ran off the top 10. And place the way you want to be, maybe down the bottom half of the field. Zerdam and Marcel, Old School, Nuff, Tibos ran off the top 15. Maledictus / Nolan, Killer Blue, and Scream didn't get any lap times in, but that, luckily for everyone, is the end of qualifying, and we don't have to sit around for another 18 minutes watching Nolan go around on track by himself, and it's beautiful blue skies and sunshine.
Yeah, so it does look as if it's going to be a nice, dry race for everyone. As I said, the guys inside of the top 10 will be starting on a set of the soft compound of tyre. The guys outside of the top 10 get their free choice of tyre. Of course, the guys from 17th downwards would have gotten a free choice of tyre anyway, but they still at least get to have some sort of choice that they want to go with. The guys outside the top 10, I would expect for them to maybe go for like a medium to soft, or soft to medium. I know that it can be doable, maybe soft to hard or medium to hard, the guys outside of the top 10. I don't know. There is so many different strategies that you can do. I know soft to medium and medium to soft is very, very difficult to do if you're quite crappy on tyre wear. But, well, they're Division 2 for a reason. I don't think that they'd be technically too bad on their tyre wear. It's just whoever plays the strategy right.
Yeah, it is, to be honest. And in terms of the tyre strategy, certainly we saw pit stops happen early on. But if you've got really good tyre management around this track in France, it's very high tyre wear. So you would imagine that drivers are going to be pitted in if they've got very low tyre wear from around lap 4, lap 5. Maybe if you've got very good tyre wear, you could get towards lap 9, and then you could get on that set of medium compounded tyres towards the end of the race. Don't trust me, by the way. Division 1 was an absolute fest, to be honest, in terms of the action and in terms of the drama. We had really changeable conditions around lap 6, lap 7, I think it was. Really changeable conditions from a set of dry compounded tyres within 6 laps after that point, from it turning cloudy to it raining, and then the track going intermediate until the end of the race. So you never know what could happen. Looking at the strategies, by the way, top 10, of course, on that set of soft compounded tyre. Everyone else, by the way, Matt, Tibos and Scream are on that set of mediums. Tibos and Scream, of course, on that set of hards. Predicted pit stop strategy just popped up for me. Lap 5 to 7 on a 2-stop. Lap 16 to 19 going on to a set of mediums. Ignore the AWS graphics. Don't trust them whatsoever.
I was just about to say, you know what AWS are like anyway, James. They are very, very unreliable. So, yeah, as I said, there are so many strategies that are going to be happening throughout tonight. As I said, Scream and Tibos, both on a set of the hard tyres. They're going to want to try and go a lot longer on these hard tyres to try and go to the end of the race, maybe on a set of the mediums or even a set of the softs if they can manage those hards. To about lap 20, lap 21, they'll be able to take, or even a bit earlier than that, about lap 18 in fact, they can take those softs to the end of the race. The guys on the mediums, they're going to try and do the same thing though. They're going to try and go, well, a few of them might end up trying to go for a set of softs at the end, or they might try and go for a set of the hards at the end. I know in Division 3, a lot of guys that pit on a set of the softs went in for a set of the mediums, so they know that it is possible. It's just whether or not they're going to be able to make it work. The guys obviously inside the top 10, they're going to go for a set of softs, coming around lap 7, lap 8 to go on a set of mediums to the end of the race. It's definitely doable. It's just whoever's going to make that strategy work, James. Of course, the two Williams are on that front row. Kuhn is in second in the championship, and his title rival is down in 14th position. However, we've seen Knuth do this before, down in 14th, and he's ended up winning the race. Not once, but twice, doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, never discount a TTG man starting down in 14th position, and of course, especially with him being the championship leader. I'm going to quickly, before we get back underway, top 3 for me. I am going to go Gary for the win. I'm going to put him on the spot. I'm going to go Gary for the win, Kuhnblei for second, and Nuff for third. I'm
going to go and say Kuhnblei is going to take the win for this one. I think Zaldamer is going to get second, and I think Assassin could get third. I think he might try and push that way through there as well. A little bit of a timing glitch on my side, but we should be getting this one underway. You can see the 3, 4, 5 red lights for round number 6 in Division 2. It is lights out, and away we go. And Packer actually getting a much better start than compared to his teammate. In fact, his teammate has lost out to TDB already. Into second position goes the Dutchman. Packer, the American, a very clean getaway for him. TDB up into second, Kuhnblai dropping down into third, and a few more changes throughout the order going down the field. Rudy and Zardama both going side by side through turn number 3. There's someone that went off ever so slightly. I think that was Maledictus. Nolan down into 19th now. That's Scream up 2 positions, and Slash up into 17th. Killer Blue from 19th on the grid up into 16th as well. Kanufa's made 2 places up as well, as in fact him and Marcel both side by side. Marcel just has to give that position up, and Old School and Killer Blue, both teammates from season 3, both going at it, and Killer Blue does get it back on top of that one. So up in the 15th place goes the Mercedes driver. A little bit further up the field in 9th, Cortez trying to go for a move on Assassin up for this 8th position at the end of this Mistro straight. He's going to try and hold it down the inside as the Portuguese driver, but going to have to back out of that one. The German keeping that position up for 8th place, and very good defensive. Remember, oh, he goes into the back of him and spins that car around. Cortez, what a good start for him, has now just turned into complete disaster, James.
Yeah, so unfortunate. Got caught on the curb, spun by himself. Luckily, no damage, I think. Maybe to the rear of the car, if anything. The rear really hit. I've got to say, though, I was watching further down the field. Matt Tibos, Killer Blue, and Old School went 3 wide going through turn 1. They all kept it within the white line, and they all kept it clean, which was ridiculous. And Killer Blue, that's why he's up to 14th position as a result. But Packer leads towards the end of lap 1. TDB in second, Kuhnblai in third. And to be honest, it's a very similar scenario. Slashes through on Scream further down the field into 16th position. Packer has stolen away from TDB coming across the line. Kuhnblai's there in third, Peter in fourth, but it's really the same old as Division 1, with drivers not really getting away, as Packer actually takes the ball on with them coming through turn 1.
Yeah, and also just a little bit further down the field, Assassin and Rudy both trying to go at it now for that P8 position. Assassin just doing, again, a very good defensive drive from the Dutchman just behind him, keeping that 8th position so far. Of course, the last person that was trying to battle him was Cortez, who's now down in 18th, who's actually just gotten past that Scream, so that Scream not having a very good start at all on his side. But yeah, I mean, Cortez now back up into 18th position. He's got a lot of positions to make up if he wants to try and get back with him where he was before. Peter, by the way, starting to drop out of DRS from those top 3 guys already. So Peter not having a, well, I mean, he's still in 4th position, holding back the Irishman of Gary in 5th, but at the same time he needs to get a bit of a move on. He needs to try and keep within those top 3 guys in order to try and just maintain that 4th position. I will admit, Peter is a bit of a penalty merchant, and penalties around here are 100% crucial because they can pick up a lot. It's very easy to corner cut around here, especially with there being barely any walls realistically on this track. As what have you just seen, James?
Killer Blue down the inside of Tibos, gets the move done in towards turn 11. Beautiful move, great driving between them both, and Killer Blue is through, making that move on that set of medium compounded tyres. He's through and he's into 13th, and Slash also looked at Old School, didn't quite get the move done, might be down the straight for the 3rd time down the Mistral straight. There's a yellow flag in sector 3, and it's Scream that is round, caught on the curb coming through turn 11. I don't think he's got any damage, he hasn't, I think he's just spun on the curb, he's back underway. Packer still leads though, TDB second, Kuhnblai in third, Rudy really pressing Assassin down towards turn 1.
Yeah, I think the Dutchman's not going to try and get a move done in towards turn 1. He's just going to try and bide his time at the moment. Zardama still just maintaining that DRS from those guys up in front of him. But interestingly enough, I said about it last lap, Peter, he's on the cusp of losing that DRS of those top 3 guys, and I think we're coming up to the detection zone now. Peter needs to get a very good exit coming out of turn 5 and turn 6, but no, he definitely doesn't. 1.2 seconds behind him, and now that's going to leave him vulnerable for Gary and for possibly even Ashida to try and go for a move. Gary's about 5.5 tenths behind the Dutchman, and he's using that overtake. He's got the DRS wide open as the Irishman. He's not going to try and get him at the end of the Mistro straight. He's a bit too far back. However, coming up the end of the chicane, it's just whoever's going to get a better exit coming out of that one. Peter definitely looks like he could be well, forming a massive train from 4th all the way down into 9th. The medium runners, though, they are sticking within that DRS. And at the front of the field, TDB, he's closing in on his teammate from last season of Packer. These 2 guys having a very good battle. Same with Kuhnblai as well. The top 3 completely pulled away now from the rest of the field, as Gary, I think, will just try and go for a move on Peter. And as well, Ishida almost going for a move, having a little bit of contact as well, as Old School and Slash both going at it for 15th and 16th. Old School going to try and hold it down the inside from last season where he done this on Miami, and I think he's going to hold that position. Slash just has to give that one up and maintains that position down in 16th. Old School doing a defensive drive once again, but Slash going to try and go up the inside now at the penultimate corner, have the outside for the final corner. Old School's going to shove him out from that. Oh, a little bit of contact and a bit of desync, I think that was from there, as Gary getting that move done on
turn 3, and the Mercedes right on the back of the AlphaTauri. Lockert's through down the inside. What a move, and that is why you get pushed that wide. Ashida and Peter,
Ashida
contact, and Ashida sent round around as well by Peter. I think he might have got caught on the curb, but Larkin makes an absolute excellent move. He pictured that to perfection. Larkin is through and he's into P5.
And did he pick up DRS from Gary? No, he didn't. But what a move that was. For some reason, I think I'd lagged out just ever so slightly as now Assassin's trying to go for a move on Peter now for this P6 position. The German trying to go down the inside at the end of the Mistro straight and gets that move done. Lovely stuff from Assassin. Now him up in a 6th position, just following Larkin. And now Larkin only 7 tenths behind Gary. This guy's battling for this P4 position. But at the front of the grid, you still got Kuhnblei, you still got TDB, and you still got Packer. And they're all so close with each other. What have you seen now, James?
Maledictus is trying to go around the outside of Old School, around the outside of turn 10. This will be brave, bold and brilliant if he pulls it off. The Portuguese man is through and the Irishman gets false side by Cortez, nearly collected up in that as well. And now the Alpine is through on Old School, so Cortez gains a position at the expense of Old School, who loses 2. But Maledictus up into 15, Cortez up to 16th. The Alpines making progress through the field. And Maledictus, of course, on that sort of medium compounded side, we'll have to see what his tire wear is going to be like towards the end of the race. Rudy's right on the back of Peter, running down the straight. DRS is now enabled, of course, onto lap 5 we go, and Rudy right on the back of Peter. He's on the outside line. The Haas against the AlphaTauri, looking to the outside line. Beautiful move, clean sailing around the outside, and he's up into 7th.
That's 4 positions now lost for the Dutchman, and next up is the rest of the medium runners. And around this time now is where the mediums are going to start to come into their own. The soft tyres are going to start to degrade a lot more, and the mediums are where it really is at now. And Zadama is the one that's leading it, this medium train all behind. Matt Tibos, by the way, keeping with all of these medium runners as well, so doing a very good job on those hard tyres. So kudos to him for that one. As up at the front of the field, Kuhnblei trying to go for a move on TDB in towards the end of the Mistro straight, does not manage to get that move done. TDB just has to defend from him, and that's going to allow Packer just to pull away ever so slightly. I saw that Packer was a bit under threat from TDB, but Kuhnblei just putting his nose there, just letting TDB know that he's still got to look behind him, as opposed to trying to get that move in front on the American. And a little bit of an XL rivalry going on here. Gary versus Larkin for this 4th place as well. Dropped back by about 3.1 seconds now has Gary from those top 3 guys, and Larkin wanting to try and pounce on the Irishman. We'll keep an eye on that battle coming through the coming laps. But yeah, Zadama all over the back of Peter now, James.
Yeah, he is, and Kuhnblei is all over the back of TDB as well. The 2 Dutchmen are back to do battle, it seems, for 2nd position. I think Packer might have made a mistake as well, which is why it's 4.5, 10.5 of a second coming out the final corner. Zerma, though, is on the back of Peter as well, P8 and P9. Don't think Kuhnblei's going to be close enough down in towards TDB at turn 1. Zerma might be on the back of Peter. I don't think he's closing in enough down in towards Sermon, and he's not. And the 2 XL boys are going to go out. In fact, Kuhnblei side by side with TDB, and that's just for 2nd and 3rd. Tries to go down the inside line, and TDB just cuts him off of the pass, and TDB stays in P2 for now. But Kuhnblei testing the waters, former Division 1 driver, of course. TDB, a very good rival of him back in TTML as well. But Packer leading the way, TDB in 2nd, and this battle just beginning to bridge TDB out of DRS, and has he actually picked up the DRS? He has this time around, but Kuhnblei really good to the fact that now looks the inside line, or down the Mistral straight down to the chicane node, and Kuhnblei is through. He's into 2nd with Zerma, going to get the move done on Peter as well.
Yeah, Zanama getting that move done. As I said, these mediums are now going to start to come into their own. And as I said, penalties are a massive factor around here. And look at who picked up the first penalty. It was Peter Dornvall. He is now down into 9th position, and he's got all of these medium runners behind him. He just needs to hope he can keep these tyres in shape for another 2 more laps at least to be able to go on the mediums at the end of this race. But Killer Blue also all over the back of CPI Marcel, trying to go for it around the long sweeping turn number, I think it's turn 10 or turn 11, but does not manage to get a move done on the AlphaTauri driver. Knuth as well, just up in front, trying to also look and eye up a move on Peter for that P9 position. As in fact, Peter did get a bit of a bad exit out of there, as that is a Shida that's gone around, and I think Peter coming into the pits relatively early on lap 6. I think he's got to go on a set of the hard tyres.
He has to be honest.
He's left
20 laps on that sort of hard. He's actually left the session. Isn't that a bit of desync maybe on his connection? I don't know. Killer Blue, by the way, side by side with Marcel, running down in towards turn 1 as well. He looks to the outside line, but Marcel is coy to the fact, and he stays in P10 for now, as Killer Blue nearly gets caught on the curve coming through turn 1 and then through turn 2. But look at the 2 now in front. TDB has dropped off the back, and the Williams crew now beginning to see who is the better driver, Packer or Kuhnblei. Packer runs out wide coming through 6 and then through 7. but Kublai really to the fact, and he wants to try and get the move done. Like we saw in Division 1, we want to see moves done, and Kublai, you know what, Packer just says, you know what, you can come through. Kublai is through and he's into the lead of the race, but how crucial is that later on in the race, especially if there's a safety car, as Larkin is now through on Gary for P4, if there's a safety car later in the race, Kublai, that could really do him a world of favour out on track with Packer now behind.
Yeah, they did this last week at Singapore as well. Kublai just sort of went into the lead of the race. Packer was just being his rear gunner, his Valtteri Bottas, shall I say. And yeah, he done a very good job of that last week. He's going to try and do the same thing this week and try and just get out of that DRS from TDB. As Kublai and Packer, they know that they've got the pace on the Dutchman behind them. They just need to try and both work together to try and get that out of there. And Kublai is going to just pull Packer along and get him out of that DRS. It's going to leave TDB basically in no man's land. Once Packer gets out of that DRS, then yeah, well, really, it's a Williams 1-2 and it's a Williams battle at the front of this grid, like it currently is. As Assassin in the Ferrari is now into the pits and going to be the first one out of the front runners to go for this pit stop. Obviously, other than Peter, who has unfortunately disconnected from the session, but Assassin into the pits, chucking on a set of the hard tyres. So he's going to have a bit of a disadvantage when he starts on these, because the guys that are on the set of the softs, as I said, they more than likely will go on a set of the mediums for their stop, which they should actually be coming in this lap. So I think Kublai, TDB, Larkin, Gary, Rudy all may be coming in at this lap. Same with Cortez. Obviously, Packer, they're not going to try and take the risk of double stacking with his teammate. The only problem is, though, is that he could lose out this position to TDB on this undercut. The undercut is huge around here, and I mean, as I said, the mediums are now coming in their own. You've got the two Dutchmen that are going at it. Rudy versus Zadama coming up towards the end of the Misha straight. Zadama's going to go down the inside of Rudy, up for that P6 position. Rudy's going to try and hold it down the inside of that chicane, but I think he's got that move done, and Knufelson will maybe trying to go for the move, but I think got a little bit squirmish at the exit of the chicane and keeps that 8th position. But Zadama now up into 6th, and the guys that are on the set of the softs, they're going to be shaking now that they see Zadama is all over the back of them.
Yeah, and just in beyond as well, Nuff, he went barreling in towards the chicane through 8 and 9. He nearly went into the back of Rudy, I think, as a result, but Nuff, he's got so much pace, he's absolutely carving his way through the field, not biased at all because he's part of TTG as well. He's on the back of Rudy, but the leaders are in. Kublai is into the pit lane, Packer stays out an extra lap, but Kublai is now into the pit lane from the lead of the race, and you would imagine there might be a split strategy, to be honest. We see a set of mediums there for the Mercedes crew of Larkin, in as well for a set of mediums, possibly. I think that was for coming into the pit lane. Old School, I think it might have been. No, Old School's not even in the pit lane. Kublai, though, going onto that set of mediums, and in fact, it looks like everyone is pretty much going onto that set of mediums as they come into the pit stops.
Yeah, no, it's to be expected. The guys that are on a set of softs, they can go for the mediums to the end of the race. They just need to be good on their tyre wear. Otherwise, well, it's going to cause absolute chaos for them. They could risk a puncture at the end of this race. But as long as there's no safety cars, then I'm sure that they'll be very happy with what they are doing at the moment. But interestingly enough, that does mean that Kublai is still going to be in the lead of this race race lead, shall I say. And TDB is all over the back of Kublai as well. The only problem for TDB is that he's got that scream in front of him to give him that DRS. So TDB, unfortunately for him, where he wanted to maybe try and go for a move, because I would have thought he would have jumped Packer by now from this undercut, he's now going to be stuck behind Kublai because of him getting that DRS in the back of the hard runner of that scream. You can see how much he's closing up, and same with Kublai, but they can't get past him, and all of this actually might cause them a little bit of time loss on each of these guys. So Packer might not, well, it might have worked out in the Americans' favour. The only problem is, though, you can see how much Zadama is catching up to the back of Packer. He's caught him by about 5 tenths just in this lap alone, as there you go. The American now into the pits, and the Dutchman will now inherit the lead of the race.
Kublai, and he went into the back of Scream as well. If I'm sounding like a robot, by the way, I did switch off my wireless adapter before we came live, so that might be why I'm sounding like a bit out of like the TARDIS. But Kublai is going around the outside of Scream, nearly forced off track there by the German, but Kublai now on the inside line in towards turn 15, tries to get the move done. Look at TDB as well. TDB is going to lap this up. He could go through the middle of both of them. Kublai, though, is through. TDB now following the substitute with Kublai. What does he do? Does he wait, or does he go for the move? And there's Packer coming out the pit lane as well, and Packer's behind, and now TDB looks to the inside line, now through 1, now through 2, tries to get the switch back where Kublai stays ahead, and that could have been a hell of a lot more dangerous if they were so close to Packer there. Packer came out of the pit lane behind them. He's got a lap fresher tyres. That's about 5% fresher tyres compared to Kublai and TDB ahead. Zerdam has just lost the lead enough.
Yeah, Zalman now down into second position. The German, our championship leader, now up into the lead of this race. But yeah, interestingly enough, you could see on the back of TDB's car and the back of Kuhnblei's car, that red light is flashing on the both of them. However, Packer, look how much ERS he has got left to play with. He's got 40% left, and there you go, TDB now into the net race lead. Despite obviously these guys on the mediums not coming in as of yet. But Zadama up at the front, very close once again to the German, and Marcel as well, also trying to look to get in on the action, as well as Killer Blue, of course, starting down in 16th position now. Marbinta fourth, of course, not making any sort of pit stops as of yet. But yeah, TDB now up into the net race lead. Packer all over the back of his Dutch teammate, and I feel like we might actually see, because Packer did let his teammate go, you can see the ERS difference between the pair of them. I feel like Kuhnblei might actually have to let Packer go to go for this attack, and then try and, you know, get TDB back within the grasp of the Dutchman to try and both of them go for that move. It's a bit of a tactical advantage for them because it's two Williams versus the one Alfa Romeo, whereas the other Alfa Romeo is currently sitting in the lead of the race without making a pit stop as of yet. But yeah, I mean, TDB is going to be under an immense amount of pressure come towards the middle to the end of this race, and you can already see just from the ERS difference as Larkin, fastest lap of the race so far. In fact, he's starting to catch up to these top three guys where they've all been battling now. He's, in fact, also got that jump on Gary, interestingly enough, as well.
He did. I wonder if Gary maybe had some sort of damage, possibly from lap 1, and he had a front wing change. I don't know. He's behind. Well, he's ahead of Slash, but he's ahead of Cortez as well, and that was not. They were not around each other, to be honest, at the start of this race. But Kuhnblei now closing on TDB. TDB is being eaten up like an absolute salmon out on track. Kuhnblei is through, and he's into P9. TDB is through, and he's into P10. And Larkin now is through on Assassin, and he's through, and he's into P12 as well. Rudy on the back of Assassin, trying to get the move done. But Scream also went through, I think, on Assassin as well. There is a yellow flag in Sector 3. That was for Ishida. Scream has made a mistake, and now Assassin looks the outside line, running around to the top of turn 10. Oh, and he nearly comes across on Rudy. He might still come across on him, and the Haas is still there on the outside line. Scream just going to watch his wing mirrors to the left-hand side of him, because there is Rudy. There's a big Haas in his mirror right on the back, and now looks to the inside line. Assassin there in 13th, Rudy in 14th, and Rudy dives it down the inside line. Assassin not fighting with those tyres, and Rudy is through, and he's into 14. Smart play by Rudy.
Yeah, I think that's Scream. In fact, I don't know if he actually got a bit too squirmish out of that corner, because what actually happened was he saw his teammate was behind him, thought, you know what, I won't battle my teammate, I'm going to try and hold this guy up for you, behind you, and try and let you get away. It worked for a little bit, but Rudy just playing that mind game and playing that advantage on those on the softer compounder tyre from those hard tyres, it just worked out for the Dutchman, and there wasn't much that Scream could do. Got the move done very nicely, and is still only 3 tenths behind the German. As they're saying that Scream picks himself up a 3-second time penalty as well for his troubles, so very unfortunate for the Ferrari driver. But yeah, Assassin on those hards, it really has not played out well for him, because he's dropped back from Larkin. He is technically still in a net 5th or 6th position, obviously depending on when the rest of the medium guys are coming out. But Rudy, DRS now wide open, and he's now down into that 7th position, and unfortunately for him, it's not going to work out. It's a little bit further up on the field. Oh!
Kuhnblei spun on the curb. I was just watching him go with that. TDB and Packer were fighting him behind as well, but Kuhnblei has spun. I think he got caught on the curb, and there's a spinner in the back end, and that is Scream that's round. Scream is also round. He's got right side end plate damage, I think, winglet, I think, but Assassin now nearly side by side with Kuhnblei. Kuhnblei sent round, I think, by the curb rather than a spin by TDB, rather than a tap in the backside, but Kuhnblei sent round, and he's now lost positions to not only Packer, to Larkin, but to Rudy as well. Kuhnblei now net P5 and out of the podiums.
Oh dear, oh dear. So our second place man in the championship, unfortunately for him, it's not working out in his favour whatsoever. He's now down, as you said, into a net 5th position, and that's also pending the rest of the medium runners for when they make their pit stop. But yeah, TDB and Packer, it's now a straight fight between these two guys. Larkin is a little bit too far away. He's about 3 seconds behind these guys. It's now a straight fight. These two guys were teammates last season in Division 2. They are now rivals out on track around the circuit, Paul Ricard. TDB doing a very good job of just maintaining that position at the moment, but you can just see the American has got so much more ERS to play with in comparison to the Dutchman just in front of him. So I think Packer's just going to bide his time. He's going to wait it out. He knows he can be a bit quicker than him, just needs to try and play this to perfection. And well, I mean, that'll be moved done, and then he can just try and get that sorted out, and I think that's what he's going for right now. DRS now wide open for the American, and that is now the net race lead for Packer. Still yet to win a race this season. He's looking for his first race win, as I said, in League of Europe for this season. And, well, at this present moment, James, it could go in his way. He's got the ERS to play with, as TDB really hasn't. He just needs to get away and just keep his head down.
Yeah, 0.5 of a second the gap now over TDB, and I've got to be honest, Packer has really impressed me in terms of his pace. Maybe looking for a promotion into Division 1 for next week. But Packer really doing a great job. 0.5 of a second over TDB. TDB has now lost the back end as we see Marcel coming into pit lane and has picked up a 5-second penalty for speeding into the pit as well. Nuff, by the way, was under pressure from Zerdemer running down the Mistral straight for the lead, and Zerdemer is on the back of Nuff, but the German just seems to have every answer to Zerdemer's questions at this stage. Killer Blue there in third, Tibos is right on the back as well in fourth, and Killer Blue, of course, these guys will be hoping, to be honest, for a VSC or a safety car to really open this race up a little bit, and then they can perform the overcut out on track. And you spoke about earlier the undercut's powerful around here. The overcut, if they get into a position where the overcut will work, that's very powerful as well. So it really nullifies, to be honest, the overcut and the undercut around here, but currently undercut seems to be the way to go.
Yeah, it certainly is. Marcel has just come out of the pits on a set of the hards, interesting enough. So he's going for a medium to hard strategy to Matt Tibos, straight down the inside of Killer Blue for that third position. And the Mistral straight, quite easily done for the McLaren driver, up into third position now. Of course, he's got Killer Blue all over the back of him once again, though. I thought he was going to try and go for maybe a bit of a switchback with the Mercedes driver, but no, he's just going to bide his time. He's just going to sit behind Matt Tibos and just wait that out, as Kuhnbleit and Rudy both going at it now, as well as Rudy just getting overtaken, by his fellow Dutchman. Kuhnbleit now up into 11th position. As what have you seen?
Slash has battled it into the Mistral, to the chicane node. He's got caught on the back of Gary going for the move on Assassin. I think Slash has contacted the back of Assassin. Luckily for them, haven't lost any positions, but Slash has lost positions. He's now down in 17th position, and actually he's a net P10, I think, out on track.
Wow, so Slash, it was going well for him as well. Oh, someone's gone very wide. Is that Cortez?
Who was that? I didn't even see.
I think that was Cortez. He looked like he went stupidly deep in towards turn number 10, and then I think Marcel was putting that pressure on him. Yeah, the Portuguese driver, I don't know what had happened to him. I thought he just completely cut across Marcel as well, but no, obviously they've all still got their front wings going. They're both still going in the race, but yeah, Cortez, that was a little bit dangerous, my friend, but I think you might actually be a bit under pressure from Marcel now, coming up in towards turn number 1. No, he's not going to be close enough to getting that move done, so the AlphaTauri driver just going to have to bide his time and wait behind Cortez. The only problem for him, though, is that Cortez will get that DRS off of the back of Assassin. Assassin, though, only 5 off of the back of Gary, as I think Gary actually got that move done in the end on Assassin. And Kuhnbleit now all over the back of Larkin as well, coming up towards the end of this Mistral, or coming up to the beginning of the Mistral straight now. I think Larkin might be a little bit of a sitting duck coming through here, using his overtake, using his DRS, and there you go, Kuhnbleit already before halfway through the straight is already up into that 10th position and back in to that net podium position.
Yeah, Kuhnbleit really recovering well, I've got to say, from his spin as well. And remember, he spun. He's 4 seconds off TDB, and Packer and them two are good at battle. Packer and TDB are ahead of him, and those were the two that were behind him before Kuhnbleit spun. And Kuhn looks like he's got the pace currently, out on track to try and delve them in. Obviously, he's on the same tyres as TDB. Packer's got a lap fresher tyres. Zerdemer now pitting. Gary and Assassin, by the way, are battling. Gary, I think, got caught wide coming through 11, and now Assassin right on the back, but doesn't get the move done. Cortez, by the way, had a real snap of oversteer coming out of 11. That's what caused him to go massively wide, and Cortez literally recovered the car. It was a great recovery, and now it looks to the inside of Assassin. Doesn't quite get the move done. However, into 15 he might. He gets caught on the curb, and now Marcel could have a run at this as well. The AlphaTauri right on the back of the Alpine, and the Alpine right on the back of the Ferrari, and it's now, could be too wide, running down the straight at Assassin. Cortez looks to choose the outside line. Assassin gives him the room, and Cortez is setting that in way too deep. He's on the inside line, he gets caught on the curb, and that is why you never go for a move like that, because you always end up spinning. Cortez is round. Unfortunate for him, he had every right to go around the outside, but a bit of wishful thinking, I think.
Yeah, the Portuguese driver just trying to get that move done quick time, and unfortunately it's not paid dividends for him, and just for his troubles, to kick him around while he's down, he picks himself up with 3-second time penalty as well. Packer all over the back of TDB once again, as also, interestingly enough, Zaldivar all over the back of CPI Marcel, in fact getting that move done coming up towards the end of the Mistral straight on a set of the soft compound tyres. So as I said, he's going for that medium to soft, and he's going to try and make that work. And knowing Zaldivar as well, he's very good on his tyre wear, and he's only got Assassin and he's got Gary up in front of him. He's only about I'd say 8 or 9 seconds off of the net lead of the race, as I think there's a bit of a spinner in the background. That was that screen. Oh, it was Cortez, sorry, going for a little bit of a spinala, as a lot of people would like to say. But yeah, Maledictus is picking up a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pits, and I think someone else also picked up a penalty. I didn't quite catch it. But yeah, Zardemer, look how close he is now to the back of Assassin and Gary. Of course, Assassin being on those hard tyres, Zardemer on a fresh set of soft tyres as Cortez once again going around. Is it going in towards the final corner? Zardemer going to try and go for a move, a little bit of contact between the pair of them. They're both going to get the DRS, so whoever's going to get a better run out of that, and I think Zardemer much more ERS to play with in comparison to the Ferrari driver, and that's, I think, move done already for the Dutchman. He's still going to try and hold it down his inside. However, Zardemer going to be able to break a little bit later. There's a little bit of contact between the pair of them, but Zardemer gets that move done. Up into 11th position now as Cortez has come in to retire from the session. 2 retirees now as Assassin maybe trying to go for a move once again. No, he's not going to be able to. He has to back out of that one. Zardemer's now into 11th, and he's got his fellow XL compatriot just in front of him of Gary. I don't think Gary's going to be able to put too much of a fight up in this one. Not by choice either. I think Zardemer's just going to get the move done on Gary. You can already see DRS now wide open for the Dutchman. Gary's not going to be able to try and fight this one. Up into 10th, and the guys that are on the set of the mediums in front of him, about 3 seconds up the road, they need to try and start looking behind them, as Packer going to get the move done on Nolan, as TDB also got the move done on Nolan quite early as well. But yeah, TDB now up into 4th position, Packer up into 5th, and Nolan, I thought he was going to try and fight that one a little bit harder, but unfortunately for him, just has to play that one out, and I believe we might even see the McLaren driver into the pits at the end of this lap. Maledictus did also come in, and he's down in 14th. He's got Assassin, he's got Marcel, he's got Gary all behind him, and well, Zardemer just making that undercut work beautifully. He's about 3 seconds up ahead of the Portuguese driver, as Nolan is in, Killer is in, and Knuth is in. There's only one driver still left out, and 2 drivers that are still left out. That is Matt Tibos and Thascream, still yet to make their own pit stops.
Yeah, nothing interestingly in Killer Blue. Where they're going to come out in regards to Zardemer. Zardemer's just going past the pit lane now. Nothing's going to be behind. And I think he's going to be behind Gary as well. So actually the overcut has sort of worked, to be honest. And now it's side by side actually between Marcel and Nuth. And Nuth actually gets that move done and holds ahead of Marcel, luckily coming out in the pit lane. And Nuth now, the championship leader, is well within this fight. Compared to Kumbla, who's obviously his nearest rival, Nuth is only 6 seconds behind. He's on a set of self-compounded tyres. That 6 seconds up, that 6 second advantage that Kumbla has currently will be eaten up in a few laps' time, because now Nuth is on the back of Gary, and unfortunately for Gary, who I predicted for the race win, he doesn't look like he's going to get the race win, as Nuth absolutely sails on by down the inside line on the Mistral straight, and he's through, and he's into 8th position, and Maledictus is on the back of Assassin as well. But is he going to try and get the move done? The Portuguese man now on the back of the German, running up the hill in towards turn number 10, and he looks to the inside line. Here does Maledictus, and it's very simple indeed. Takes a board with him, and needing a little bit of contact with him as well, as Assassin still fights out to the outside line. Only one winner of that fight, my friend, Maledictus, and he's in for 11th.
Yeah, very good battle between the pair of those guys as well. Assassin trying to just make sure he battles him as much as possible, trying to hold him back as much as he possibly can as well. But unfortunately for Assassin, it just did not work in his favour. Maledictus now up in 11th position. Next up, he's got another hard runner in front of him of Marcel. He needs to try and dispatch of him quickly, as well as Gary. Gary is going to be under pressure from Marcel as well. DRS now wide open for the German in the AlphaTauri, and you can see that red light flashing on the back of the Irishman's car. I don't think Gary's going to be able to put anything up as a fight, but he's not going to get the move done in towards turn 1. He wasn't close enough. The only thing is, coming down the Mistral Straight is where we're really going to see a lot of overtakes go ahead. And speaking of that, up in front, we've got Packer all over the back of TDB once again. This battle's still going on for the lead of this race. These two guys are not giving an inch of each other, and same with Kumbla. Kumbla, he's still 3.5 seconds behind these top 2 guys. So despite having that spin, he's just not catching up to these guys at all, as Packer starting again on the back of TDB, but not going to be close enough to getting a move done at the end of the Mistral Straight. So yeah, just has to maintain that second position for now, as Larkin also all over the back of Kumbla. Got overtaken at one point, as Gary getting overtaken as well, and Maledictus also trying to up a move, going to get a better exit coming out at the end of the chicane. And now we're going to see Maledictus just utilise that ERS. He saw that red light flashing on the back of his car and just went for that move. Maledictus now up in the 9th position, and he's got Marcel in front of him. He's also going to try and go for a move on him. Marcel's going to go defensive coming through turn the sweep in long turn 10/turn 11, and I think Marcel's going to hold on to it unless Maledictus gets a very good run coming out of it. No, he does not. So good defensive drive from the AlphaTauri driver, and Maledictus now up in the ninth. Going to put a lot of pressure on Marcel. I think it's inevitable that Maledictus is going to get past. It's just where he's going to choose to get this move done, James.
Yeah, Matt Tibos as well, right on the back of Killer Blue for 12th and 13th. This is in the final point scoring position as well, out on track. And Killer Blue on that fresh set of softs, he doesn't look like he's at home with that set of soft compound tires, because Tibos is right on the back of him. And you know what? I think he might even get the move done down in towards turn 1, because Tibos now cuts to the outside on the McLaren, thinks about going around the outside of the Mercedes, but it's not quite close enough. Could get the run down in towards 3, down in towards Hotel at 3, but doesn't get the move done. TDB pulls away from Packer, by the way, and Packer fights back. It's 3.5 tenths to the lead, and it's probably the closest we've seen in a few laps' time. But Packer, 90% of ERS. TDB's on 24. He's got 74% more ERS than TDB. Packer's just laughing at TDB at this stage, but I think he should just wait and wait and wait and hold on, because they know they're quicker than Kuhnblei. Kuhnblei's now under pressure with an absolute train behind him of Locke and Rudy, Zernmer and the likes, as Maledictus is through on Marcel as well, and he's going to be latching onto that train very soon indeed. But everyone in behind, Zermatt is going on the outside line in towards turn 10 on Rudy. This will be brave and bold and brilliant, but he nearly corrects himself going through the corner, and that brings Rudy through back into P5. But Zermatt tries he most, he failed that time, but I think next time he'll get him.
The only problem in Friday, look at that, Knuth all over the back of him, touches the back of Zalama ever so slightly. The German, I don't think he was expecting Zalama to get a little bit of a poorer run than him as well, coming out of that corner. And you can see that red light flashing on the back of Rudy's car as Maledictus on those softs picks himself up at 3 seconds time penalty. So it's at least going to give that to Gary for another position if he can stay within those 3 seconds. We've still got another 7 more laps to go, and Packer still closing up to the back of TDB, not going to be able to get any sort of move done, but he is just biding his time. He's got so much ERS to play with that he doesn't really need to do anything at the moment. He just needs to wait for a mistake from TDB or to try and just go for it, as Kuhnblei's gone round once again at the exit of turn 2. The Dutchman has not gone his way whatsoever, and Larkin will now inherit that 3rd position, and Kuhnblei is now down into 13th, a second spin for the Dutchman in 2nd place in the championship, and that's now it's going to hinder him in this championship now, because Knuth is up in 6th and might even just be eyeing up a move on the rest of these medium runners. As here we go, Zanema, DRS now wide open for him. He's using his overtake to try and get past Rudy. Rudy's going to try and go for it as well. Rudy on Larkin as well. Rudy's going to try and break a lot later than the rest of the guys, and Rudy's going to get that move done. Very nicely done for the Dutchman, but he's now got to try and get past Larkin. Here we go, Zanema, move done for him. Is he going to get 2 into 1? Rudy's going to try and go as far out as he can, but Zadama is going to push that and force his way up in the right-hand side. And Saudamar, well played. And with 3 wide going in towards turn 11, Larkin's going to try and hold it around the inside. And Knuth, the very, very inside, was also going to get a double overtake done. Rudy goes very, very wide at the exit of turn 10. And Larkin straight down his inside into turn 11 as well. Both still going at it. Rudy completely forced off, and Larkin up into 5th position. So the biggest loser out of all of that was Rudy. He got himself up into 3rd. He's now down into 6th, and just for his troubles, he picks himself up a 3 second time penalty. Knuth now all over the back of Zadama for that final podium position, James. But what a battle that was that just occurred between all of these guys.
And there's Nuth down the inside arm, and Zermer as well, down in towards turn 1. Can he get the move done on the Dutchman? The German hangs it around the outside, but it's not close enough. May have to wait until the Mistral train. But can I just commentate on Division 2 every single week? This is absolutely unbelievable. TDB and Packer obviously leading the way. They've got the race between themselves. A 3 second penalty could probably hinder them more than anything else, but they've got it between themselves, I think. Zermer now through, and he's into P3. But just how quick are that set of soft compound tyres for the remaining 5.5 laps that we've got of this race? Is Zermer quick enough to defend off Nuth? Is Nuth quick enough to defend off Zermer? Yes, he is. He gets the move done down the inside line to the chicane node, and he's through, and he's into P3, and the German just opens himself slightly, but he's through, and he's into P3, and the championship leader really impressing. Now, what can he do? He's on 4 lap old softs. He's got 4 seconds to catch Packer. If both of those fighters, they are now, Packer right on the back of TDB for the race lead. If Nuth can close in and Packer and TDB battle, Nuth's going to be on the back of these in 3 laps.
Yeah, it just also depends as well that penalties can occur. You got to remember, 3 corner cut warnings means that you get yourself a 3 second time penalty. In Knuth, look at him now, only 3.3. He's made up 7 tenths just in this lap alone despite having all of these battles that have gone on as well, he's making up some serious ground on those top two, and Zadimar's getting dragged along with it as well as Larkin, as well as Rudy, and Maledictus and Marcel now also getting dragged along. This battle, the 6-car battle for this third position is where things are really going to start to heat up, as Matt Tibos getting that move done on Killer Blue now for that 9th position. The TTG driver now up into 9th, and of course with Killer Blue having that 3-second time penalty as well, that is for position. It's not just on a penalty basis as well. So yeah, Matt Tibos now up into 9th, and they're still in this penalty range of Gary. Gary's doing a good job of just managing to maintain that penalty barrier from the rest of those guys as that screen comes into the pits to retire from the session. Here we go, the battle for the lead. Packer straight down the inside of TDB. He's got the ERS that he needs to play with. TDB, I think, has been saving a bit of it as well, but it's not enough, and I think Packer is going to go, well, now that he's passed, he's just going to use that ERS to gain as much time as he can, and Knuth 2.5 seconds now behind these top two. As I said, he's dragging Zadamar along with him as well, as Larkin almost losing out at DRS. In fact, he is now lost out on that DRS, but TDB is going to need to try and do as much as he can to keep up with Packer. The thing is, Packer 80% ERS for the American to the American. He can just defend all he wants. He can just sit in front of him. Despite TDB still having about 30% to his name, he can just defend. He doesn't really need to do anything else, and he will pretty much win this race. He doesn't, as I said, I think Packer's really got this one in the bag.
Yeah, I was about to say before he made the move, he had to have one eye behind him because Nuth is 2 seconds behind TDB now, and he's only 2.5 seconds off the lead of the race. So Nuth is still flying out on track. Whether he can catch these guys, though, remains to be seen, because the only thing that is helping these guys out in front is the DRS. They've got each other to use off a DRS train. The rest of them behind are being carried along by Nuth, and Nuth is a one-man show trying to drag along a train of about 4 or 5 cars. Maledictus on the back of Rudy, and I think that's what you were just looking at as well with Marcel, right on the back, but Maledictus touches the back of Rudy, coming out through turn 6 and then in towards turn 7. It's Packer who leads away, TDB in second, 2.3 seconds is the gap between first and third, as now Maledictus gets the move done on the outside line on Rudy, and Marcel is going to try and fly at Rudy as well. Could be two positions for the price of one. Marcel dives it down the inside line. Is Rudy going to hang that on the inside line? Aww. He is, and he shouldn't have hung his car there. It's a really silly incident, and Marcel has been spun. Luckily, he joins ahead of everyone behind, the likes of Gary, the likes of Assassin. But to be honest, that wasn't needed. Rudy, you know better than that. You should have stuck your car in the inside. Simple as.
Yeah, I feel like Rudy may have needed to just back out of that one. I suppose he still had the right to sit in there because he was still on his outside, but at the same time, I feel like that was just more move done for Marcel, and especially with him being on a harder compound tyre, he probably could have gotten that move done once again as well. But unfortunately for him, that's now him down into. He's now down into 10th, and in the cusp of losing that position to Gary as well. But yeah, a little bit further up on the field as well. All of these guys are now started to spread out. Zaldemar can't seem to keep with Knuth. He's now 1.3 seconds behind the TTG driver, as well as Larkin, 1.6 seconds behind him, as well as Matt Tibos looking to try and go for a move on Rudy down for that 7th position. The McLaren driver all over the back of the Dutchman, but just can't seem to get that move done. Rudy's tyres, I think, are completely shot, and you can see that red light flashing on the back of Rudy's car. However, it's not just his car that is flashing on the back of, it's also on the back of Matt Tibos' car. He's only got about 20% ERS to play with, and he is going to get a much better drive in comparison to the Dutchman coming out of this corner, running just a tad bit wide onto the white line. But yeah, really not really going to be able to do anything. In fact, he backs off. Not one, but 2 drivers end up going through, and I think Marcel's also going to go through. I think Rudy realised what he did with Marcel, so he's just going to sit behind. In fact, Rudy's got a puncture!
Wow. 16 lap up, that's a front left. Packer and TB are on the same compounded tyre, and they're around the same tyre wear. I did say this at the start of qualifying, tyre management is absolutely key around a track like France, and honestly, Packer and TDB are doing such a good job, but 2 laps to go. What on earth is now going to happen with the front runners? We could see the soft runners eventually, maybe 1 and 2. But Packer and TDB, I think they've got their tyres under control. And the American and the Dutchman are doing an absolute sterling job out on track. If those tyres puncture, I think it's just down to the curbs rather than their own accord. Because they've drove the race brilliantly. Nuff is again borderline, a second, like last lap around, running down into the Mistral straight, and TDB on the back of Packer. These guys have got to now be keeping off the curbs. If they've seen what's happened with Rudy, they might not know it, but if they're listening to us, they now know what's happened, and now Nuff is really, really catching. He's within a second, as Maledictus is nearly side by side with Larkin.
Yeah, Maledictus is also at the exit of turn 2, picking himself up yet another 3-second time penalty. The Portuguese driver is not having a very good race whatsoever. He's got quite a few penalties to his name, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 14 seconds does the Portuguese driver. So he's not only going to be losing out to Matt Tibos, to Killer Blue, to Marcel, but he's also going to be losing out to Slash, to Gary, to Kumblai, and to Assassin, as well as the Portuguese driver gets up into 5th position. Just needs to try and get as far ahead as he possibly can. But yeah, of course, now he's up into 5th. Unfortunately, those positions aren't really going to matter anything. He just needs to move, just try and do his best to get up as he can. As Matt Tibos, I think, trying to go a bit defensive from Killer Blue at the end of the chicane, and now coming through turn 10 and turn 11. Killer Blue, though, he's using that ERS. He's going to try and go for that move on Matt Tibos, coming through turn 11 now. Here we go, around the fast right-hander, and I think he's going to try and hold it down the inside. Matt Tibos, I don't know if he's going to be able to do anything. He keeps it around the outside. He will have the inside for turn 12, and he does maintain that position. Very nicely done for Matt Tibos. So they're still both side by side. Killer Blue's going to have the inside. In fact, Matt Tibos just sort of backs out of it. He's just going to try and go get that DRS on the back of the XL driver, and he's going to try and go for that move in towards turn number 1. I'm assuming there's, in fact, saying that, Marcel trying to go for the move now at the final corner. Not too sure as to the reason why, 'cause it's not even the final lap yet. We've still got 2 more laps left to go. In fact, it does say now it is the final lap of this race, so really it's now anyone's game. Larkin is technically still in a net 5th position, but Knuth can't seem to find a way past the rest of these guys up in front. He's on those soft tyres still, but unfortunately he's not going to be able to get any sort of move done. He's still in the DRS train of his teammate and of Packer as well. Knuth, I think the only thing really TDB could have done was try and hold Packer up as much as he possibly could, because Knuth, he's now all over the back of his teammate, and surely TDB is not going to try and hold his teammate up, especially for this championship battle.
You wouldn't imagine so, but everything is to play for out on track, and TDB has had the pace of a nothing. They just picked up a 3-second time penalty. Now that swings it in favour of TDB. You've spoken too soon there, I think, Jacob. As a result of Packer leading the way with TDB in second. Nothing's still got the pace. Those tyres still look like they're going to puncture towards the end of the race, but Packer leads the way. Now only 4 corners to go. Tibos and Killer Blue are getting going again through turn 10 as well, looking to the inside line, and the McLaren, the Mercedes, though, holds it around the outside. But again, Matt Tibos down on the inside line, tries to hang it, and they're still side by side on the run out of 11 and in towards 12, and now Marcel's getting involved in this as well, but we'll have to cut to the lead because Packer comes around the final corner. It's been an absolute brilliant race from the American. He is going to take the win here, and it's well deserved as well. Packer to the line, wins in France with TDB in second. Nothing's going to finish in third. Zernemer's 4 seconds behind him, so that is the podiums. Zernemer finishes in P4. Needy race to the line. Matt Tibos on the back of Killer Blue. Needy Ford finishes a massive crash coming across the line. That promotes the Larkin to 5th. Tibos in 6th. Killer Blue in 7th. 300th of a second on that line in favour of Matt Tibos. Killer Blue there in 7th. Gary in 8th. Slash in 9th. Kumblai in 10th. Marcel 11th. Maledictus in 12th. Assassin 13th. Old School in 14th. Rudy in 15th. Peter's AI finished in 16th. Take a breath at what we've just witnessed there. Honestly, Division 2 was better than Division 1.
You've heard it here first, and that was from the lead commentator of Division 1, people. You've heard it here. So, yeah, I mean, the interesting thing as well, I thought Matt Tibos finished behind Killer Blue. I don't know what had happened. I don't know if it's because of...
Glitch.
Yeah, it must have been some sort of glitch, but Killer Blue down in 7th, 300ths of a second. I think he might try and put that to the students and get himself on that 6th place, but... Yeah, that was very interesting.
Yeah, it was the same with Montana. Montana was a full second ahead of Connor, even though Connor was a full second ahead of him when he came across the line. So it's a glitch within the game. Driver of the Day awarded by the in-game fans. Killer Blue. I think rightfully so. I mean, he looks like George Russell there.
Yeah, 100%. He's done a very good job. As I said, from that, I think it was 19th position all the way up into 7th, and try and obviously go for that 6th place as well. But it is this man right on the top step, and I'm going to say he is my driver of the day. Packer putting in a sublime job, didn't make a single mistake, and obviously kudos to TDB as well. Both of those guys just going at it. Obviously ex-teammates from last season, both going at each other, and in the end, America was the one that came out on top. TDB does finish in second, and Knuth in third. Of course, a double podium for the Alfa Romeos. Zarema put up a valiant effort. I was close to him being on the podium, but he did end up finishing in fourth in the end as well. Larkin does finish in fifth, with Matt Tibos in sixth. Killer Blue in seventh. As I said, they might try and change that around. I'm not too sure, depending obviously of stewards' inquiries. Gary, despite not picking himself up a penalty, still finishes up in eighth position. So good driver, as I said, from the Irishman. Slash in ninth. Kuhnblai in 10th after having two spins on his own. Unfortunately for the Dutchman, that's just going to put him even further now down in the championship. Marcel in 11th, and Maledictus getting that final points position in 12th. In 13th was Ariel Assassin. Old School in 14th. Rudy in 15th with the fastest lap of the race. I think he picked it up right at the end. Peter, his AI, ended up finishing in 16th, and then Nolan DNFing in 17th. That's Screaming 18th DNFing. Cortez and Ashida, the two Portuguese, at the back end of that as well, and both of those guys unfortunately sort of the DNFing as well. But yeah, I think we need to get some driver interviews for these top three guys, because I think Packer and TDB are going to have a lot to say with each other, I think.
Definitely. Do you want me to invite them in?
Yes, please.
I will do that indeed. But yeah, Packer, TDB, Nuth. I think I predicted, by the way, second and third correctly.
Yeah, TDB and Knuth in there. Yeah, you were spot on. I will admit, it was just Kuhnblai. Unfortunately, when we both predicted him, I think we might have just given him a bit of a commentator's curse down in 10th.
We did indeed. I'm just going to invite the guys in now. Give me 2 seconds. I've got to manually type these guys into the lobby. Oh, it's the party even.
No, that's fine, no problem. But I mean, as for championship-wise, where does that put the rest of these guys now? So, Knuth picked himself up 15 points, so he goes on to 82 points. Kuhn ends up only picking up 3, so he goes to 53. So he is actually technically, or Knuth is technically, a whole race win now up ahead of Kuhn in second place. I think he's still... Does he still maintain that second place, in fact? Maledictus only picked up 1 point. Gary picks himself up 5. So, yeah, Kuhn does still... no, he doesn't. In fact, Packer moves up into that second position after picking up that win tonight. So, Packer goes up into second with 59 points. And Kuhn in third now with 53 points. So, I think Knuth is quite a comfortable lead for... well, points-wise in this championship, but we have now got our top 3 into the party, and we'll start off with our race winner, Mr. America. Packer, you finally picked yourself up a race win. It was a hard-fought battle, but you did it in the end. Talk us through that one. It was obviously a good battle with TDB, but yeah, talk us through that one, mate.
Well, I guess we could really start with quali. Pretty decent lap, I'd say, 29.3. Probably the best lap. I'm just the best qualifying driver ever, obviously. But anyways, yeah, I don't know really where to start. I got a good start. Unfortunately, that Kuhnblai didn't, and TDB got in between both of us. That kind of messed up, I guess, what we were planning to do. Kind of like Singapore once again, but yeah, I just had good pace, and then yeah, I don't even know really what to say. It kind of just happened. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely did look like you. You know, you were just sort of sitting behind TDB, just playing it nice and comfortable. I saw that you was building the ERS up to go for one massive charge. I think it looked like you kind of got it done earlier than what you was expecting, but it still played out well in the end for you anyway, mate. So congratulations, as I said, for you for taking first position. As I said, you and TDB last season both were teammates, and that was just an incredible battle between the pair of you. Obviously, Kuhnblai now having that spin, it just allowed you to just pull away. But the thing is, Knuth, he was on those soft tyres, starting to catch up to you. Was you afraid that maybe he was going to try and go for a move on yourself and TDB?
Well, once Zaudema and Knuth both got up to the top of the train, I was wondering what type of pace they were going to have, and I saw that Zaudema he wasn't really catching us. He caught us a few tenths, but eventually it equaled out because of the DRS. But then once Knuth got by, he was absolutely rapid. I think he closed us down a second in the half a lap that he was in front of Zaudema. So instantly at that point, I knew I had almost 100% ERS. I was like, okay, I have to go for TDB right now, and I just have to push and try and create a gap big enough to where I won't get overtaken again, and that's what I was able to do. Newth, he got close, he got a little bit concerned, but on that final lap, once he got the penalty at the chicane, that was pretty much, it was pretty much done from then. So yeah, yeah, but yeah. That's it, really, from that one.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough. And obviously, Russia next week. I know that is a personal favourite of yours. Are you looking to try and make that 2 in a row for next week?
Hopefully, but I don't know. Once again, I haven't touched Russia. I haven't touched Russia yet out of the game. So hopefully it's nice. It's a little bit more flat, kind of what I like. Singapore, France, all kind of flat tracks. So hopefully we'll do well, and maybe we can put Williams back up to the top of the constructors, and maybe I can close down on Knuth a little bit more.
We shall wait and see. Of course, you now move up into second in the championship, just ahead of your teammate as well. So, very well done to yourself. James, you got any questions for our race winner for tonight?
No, I was just thinking, to be honest, with one eye to Russia, how he was going to get on, but he's already answered that question. So, yeah, nothing from me.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, yeah, I said congratulations, Packer, for taking a win for tonight and for moving up into second in the standings. We'll move over to our second place finisher of TDB. Again, both you and Packer, you drove very well tonight. It's just unfortunate that it didn't play out for you, though, TDB. You know, that start was a very good start. I thought at one point you was even going to try and challenge Packer, but talk us through that start from yourself.
Well, I don't know. Well, I can explain. There's a thing, because the updates fucked my start, so I'm very happy with the starts that I got. Whenever you hold the ERS button now, it goes from on, off, on, off, on, off. And my clutch and my overtake is on the same button, which I saw it before because I did races before, but I forgot to change it. So I didn't actually start with overtake, which I normally do. But I got a really good start, which I guess helped to get further into the race, and I got my momentum from there.
Fair enough, fair enough. And as I said, it was obviously a good battle. You know, you maintained the lead of the race for quite some time. I think it was just more. I know you was trying to sort of get away from Packer. Unfortunately, he just hounded the back of you too much as well. I was saying to James just before Knuth picked up that penalty, was there going to be any sort of team play? Was there going to be a case of you was going to let your teammate through before he picked up that penalty at all?
Well, originally we were going to swap and give Knuth a chance to attack Packer, but he came a lap too late. But then I did tell him to, like, I'll wait at start finish, let him go past for the standings. But then he got the penalty, of course. Which, yeah, it is unfortunate. He still gets speed 3, I get P2, which it's good for the constructors, I guess.
Yeah, no, 100%. And obviously, you guys, I think, sort of push that lead out a little bit more in the constructors, up ahead of the Williams guys. I think they're now in second. I think they are in second in the constructors as well. So you do just push that out a little bit further. Of course, Russia next week again. I know that's also a personal favourite of yours. Anything for that as well?
I've said all year that I'm winning Russia. I've said it all year. It's the only track I've sweat. I've had the wet wall trackers for a shit ton of time. I'm very close to it. I'll put in some laps after this.
Yeah.
I'll try my best for Russia. I really like the track. But given how my season's gone, I'll probably DNF.
That's the spirit.
Yeah.
James, have you got any words for TDB or any questions for him?
To be honest, you've stolen my question again, to be honest. I always have the Russia question lined up and you never ask me it. It's terrible. But yeah, just one eye really to that race. Packer and you, TDB, obviously you got overtaken by Packer. Did you feel that you had the pace to try and reclaim that P1 back from him?
Absolutely not. I did, I think, 15 time trial laps because my pad was broken. Before I came home, my R2 got stuck, so I had to rebuild the whole controller before I drove. So I only did a few laps, and I was very happy with the pace that I had. So I'll definitely take P2. Packer was a lot quicker than me. I think without the DRS, if like I didn't have DRS or a DRS failure, he would have been gone, Packer. Like he would have won with 3 tenths in like just the final stint itself. without the DRS, I wouldn't have been anywhere. So it's Bakker definitely deserved this victory, and I'll happily take P2.
Yeah, he still drove a great race though, and obviously going forward into Russia, back off a podium, hopefully you might even turn that into a win. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't.
Fair enough. I
Nice
do love your
thinking.
spirit.
I like it.
Do love your spirit. I do love your spirit. But yeah. Finally, we'll move over to our third place man on the podium, and of course, extending his championship lead, Knuth. Once again, I don't know how you've managed to do it for now. I think the third or fourth time you started down in 14th, and you've somehow managed to worm your way onto the podium. Obviously, going on a strata from a mediums or starting on a set of the mediums, was it always your intention to go on a set of the softs, or did you? Because I saw a few people go from medium to hard. Was the medium soft always going to be the way for you to pull that one out?
Yep, that was basically the plan. But basically, the plan was to do soft mediums because I did it before and felt quite comfortable with it. And I was on a really good run in quali actually, but I messed it up in the third sector, and then I went extra careful because I really didn't want to start on like P9, P10 on old softs. So I took a bit more safety and started P14, which wasn't too bad. I had a pretty good start, so I already jumped 2 places there. And then basically just profited from spins from there on out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was quite an interesting race because my setup was super unstable in the race. So I was losing it all the time, especially in the first 5-6 laps. And basically I fucked my race there because I had no ERS. I was on like 50 or 60%. Usually this early on in the race I don't use any ERS. And I didn't regain it at all because I was basically, once I was past the demo, I was basically pushing like hell to get to spread out the medium runners, which worked out, but I basically had no ERS left when I was in the pits. And then once me and Zudema went past the last few medium runners, then it was just my goal to get away from Zudema out of the DRS for now. And that worked out, but basically I was on like 10% and I still had to catch up like 3 to 4 seconds. So it was a bit of a struggle, and then at the end, yeah, the tires didn't really want to do it anymore, and my ERS was empty, and I got a stupid penalty. So yeah, but it's okay because double podium for the team. So
Yeah, no, that's the
I
main
guess
thing.
that's good.
You pull out a bit more, as I said with TDB, you pull out a little bit further on those Williams boys as well. Pretty much answered all of the questions that I was going to ask. James, I'll let you ask the question for this one as well. Yeah, go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, obviously looking one result up to Russia, you obviously hold that championship lead going into Russia. How do you take this podium and how do you take your performances so far this season and turn that into another good performance next week?
Basically, I'm just going from race to race. I didn't really have much expectations going into the season, and so far it's going pretty well, at least in the races. So yeah, basically everything can happen. I think today showed that again. So yeah, I didn't do Russia at all in this game yet. Well, like 2 laps at the beginning, and basically I'm not allowed to win this race. So yeah.
Yeah, I think
I'll
TDB
just
said
say it on
some
stream
words.
Yeah, I'll just say it
Yeah.
on the stream as well. It's always good to see a TTG man on the podium as well. But there we are. There's my bias over and done with.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm sure TDB will have a few words if you try and beat him next week at Russia. I know how much he's done on this track already, so yeah, we'll keep an eye out on that one for next week. But yeah, thank you once again to the podium sitters, and also congratulations to all 3 of you as well once again. But that is where that's where it's all been written for round 6 of Division 2. James, obviously, I know you're going to be back at Division 1 next week. Any sort of words for final words for tonight at all?
Yeah, to be honest, Packer drove an absolute solid race. Certainly gets my driver of the day votes. Overall,
Yes.
better race overall than I think is Division 1 as well. Clean, fair racing. That's what we like to see, and it sets the standards really high for Division 2. And Dan, I've kept your seat warm, so don't worry. You're going to be in very good hands next week as the ultimate partnership of Division 2 is reunited, and then I'm with Gary.
Yeah, I couldn't be any more sorry for you, mate. Honestly, I do feel sorry for you, but yeah.
It was a struggle last season. Don't worry.
Fair enough. But yeah, as I said, thank you to everybody for tuning in for tonight. Make sure you guys do check out all of the other divisions as well. I think Division 5 has actually only just started their race, so make sure you guys go and tune into that one. But yeah, of course, next week we've got Russia for PC at 8 o'clock on Friday, British Standard Time or UK time, and then Division 1, 3 and 4 at 6:30 PM, and Division 2 and Division 5 as well at 10 past 8. Well, hopefully at 10 past 8 for Division 5. I think we might have to start moving it around to about 9 o'clock, because that's at what time it's ending up starting at this point. But thank you to everybody for tuning in for tonight, and we will catch you guys next week for round number 7 around the Sochi Autodrome.